I spent $3 to take Jake Weddle's comedy workshop. Turns out, Jake Weddle may struggle to run a marathon, but he'll have no issue running his mouth about Mr. Beast. Jake Weddle is an alleged comedian who, after a decade of stand-up grind, finally found himself in the spotlight by becoming the first person outside of Ukraine and Palestine to suffer from war crimes.
That's a war crime!
After joining the team of disgruntled Avengers, alongside treacherous twink and weaky feet woman, Jake Weddle drew an overwhelming and likely unexpected amount of public attention. But it doesn't matter what you get famous for. What matters is what you do with the sudden fame. So I was intrigued to see whether Jake was going to sink or swim. In fact, I decided to find out for myself by taking the comedy workshop that Jake advertised at the end of one of his videos.
My Patreon is going to have a writer's workshop this Sunday. Now I'm going to run them. And if
oh yeah, dude, I can't wait. The guy that fucking says Dave Chappelle bags, he joked about trans. Can't wait to hear all your insights and that'll be funny. No.
I could not find anything about this workshop. I checked Jake's YouTube, his Twitter, his Instagram, no mention of it anywhere. My Jewish heritage did not allow me to splurge on a Patreon membership without first at least trying to pry some information out of Jake via Instagram comments. Yet, for once in his life, Jake remained silent, so I gave up and forgot about it. Until he brought the workshop up the next time, over a month later.
Join my Patreon, where we have comedy writing workshops every single Sunday. Whoa, organic plug! That's right, Patreon members who join with a $3, $5, or $10 subscription, anybody gets access to the code to the Discord that brings us to the Ugly Duck workshops. We talk about jokes, we punch up jokes, people bring jokes, I bring jokes, I am going on tour, I gotta work on my jokes. We talk about comedy theory. Why is that joke funny?
I don't know. Comedy theory, guys.
Or maybe we
comedy theory with Jake Weddle.
just shoot the shit.
Doesn't that worth paying for?
Regardless, they are the highlight of my month.
Jake Weddle explains the joke to you in
Okay.
Discord VC.
This was a big time for the Avengers. They just dropped a few hard-hitting videos. So I accepted defeat and took the plunge. There was still no further information available online that I could see, so I was not sure how people were finding and joining this workshop. And then I paid the Patreon fee and realized that they don't. Out of Jake's 90 patrons, I saw maybe 5 be active across the 2 chats that become available once you pay the fee, and neither of the chats contain any useful information about what, where, how the workshop is. But at least after I asked those questions, I was invited to the dedicated Discord and set for the first session that Sunday. Before I tell you what happened at and after the workshop, I would like to clarify my intentions. If you think that I'm a scheming, drama-hungry slop peddler who had malicious intentions going in, you're not wrong. I always expected the workshop to be dogshit in some shape or form, but I thought that if there were any content to be made from infiltrating it, it would probably be me goofing on Weddle for the lack of effort that he seems to put into anything that could make him money, and his inability to capitalize on this notoriety that he was handed.
The Jake Weddle channel is dead. My videos aren't doing well, that's all I'm saying.
What have I been doing on the channel for the last 2 months? Well, I was throwing everything at the wall just to see what would stick. And that's apparently the only way to make nothing stick, apparently.
What I did not expect, however, is to end up making content in any way directly related to the anti-Mr. Beast crusade. I decided going in that although I might accept any juicy drama morsels that fall into my lap, it would be too shitty to proactively bring anything up, which is why I did not record the workshop at first. The structure of the workshop was described by both Jake and his moderator as loose, meaning that if any participants wanted to bring jokes that they would like Jake's input on, they could, but if nobody brought jokes, then the hour would be spent shooting the shit. On the day that I attended the workshop, there were maybe 8 people in call, but other than myself, Jake, and Jake's moderator, I only heard one other person speak. Luckily, they did bring jokes, and Jake provided some suggestions on how to improve them. And you know what? From the writing perspective, I think any exercise is useful. So there you have it, my official review for the Ugly Dark workshop. Not entirely a waste of time. If the other sessions that month hadn't been cancelled, it would be almost worth the $3. Where things took a turn was when we ran through the pre-prepared jokes, and Jake playfully expressed his incredulity that nobody else brought anything, so I took that opportunity to recount how much effort I undertook to find out anything about this workshop. And to his credit, Jake admitted that he had not been putting much effort into the Patreon and the workshop, but he promised to do better once he's finally done with the Mr. Beast bullshit. And he also had some good news for us. Firstly, he had recently hired a paid assistant who would make sure that Instagram comments, such as mine, would not go unanswered again. I later found out that the assistant is Jake's girlfriend, but it's good to know that she's being fairly compensated for whatever it is that she does. And secondly, Jake announced that we should be expecting some banging content in the near future. In particular, an interview on Rosanna Pansino's channel. From what I understood, it's supposed to blow some further lids off Mr. Beast's reign of terror. I know that counterfeit t-shirts were mentioned, but looking back, I'm not sure whether that is supposed to be in that interview or it has something to do with the plethora of other things that Rosanna and Dogpack are apparently working on. And as much as the drama slot part of me would love to see that inevitable train wreck or an interview, the human part of me felt that I should at least offer the opinion that if the goal is to be finally done with the Mr. Beast bullshit, releasing any kind of content while Dogpack and Rosanna are actively getting dumpstered for the CP allegations video that they dropped just a few days prior may not be wise.
Alleged CP.
And this I decided to record.
To do with the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people that I had met, and the trials and tribulations that I had to overcome and learn, and the support that I had received, and how I'm a different boy coming out of the LA trip. And that's going to be a very long form, very beefy. I'm really excited about that video. I've been cooking it up for a while, and I want to make sure it comes out when the and little fun fact, at the end of Rosanna's video, they actually let me do 5 minutes of stand-up in front of everybody that they could gather in Rosanna's studio, and then there's going to be a call to action to my channel as well. So that's both of those videos coming out. It's very, very exciting. So that's what I've been hunkering down and honing on these past couple of days.
Do you think it's wise to have that released, I guess, now on Rosanna's channel? Because
I know that the YouTube comment section and Twitter can be very, very, disheartening to see. But trust me when I say, give it time, and all of the stuff that has been coming out will be, the stuff that hasn't even come out yet is kind of nuts. There's a YouTube civil war going on. I am very, very comfortable with the side I've aligned myself with.
No, that's fine. But I guess the issue is that, at least to me, it seems like whatever morally and legally wrong things that need to be exposed, I'm sure they exist, but the problem is that with the approach that has been chosen, at least like what it seems to me, there is just no credibility left after that. After basically Dogpack or whatever his name is, Dawson and Rosanna told that they downloaded it to censor it and reverse search it, and then they're so lucky that it wasn't CP, because otherwise they would have committed a crime.
Oh, I mean, I couldn't disagree with you more. I mean, that would implicate the FBI as well as like, oh, you guys watch CP? Yeah, well, I do think there's a huge difference between people trying to stop pedophiles versus people who are being pedophiles.
There's a difference.
Yeah, but
between downloading all of the logs and not knowing that's in there, and specifically going out to get that picture and then send it to someone thinking.
Yeah, but Dawson specifically then got that image from the logs to censor it and reverse image search, believing at the time that was CP. And the difference between him and FBI is that one is the authority that is obligated
and that's why
to handle
it also reported to the authorities, and it was reported to the authorities long before Rosanna even said that she was reporting it to the authorities. Rosanna's been working with the FBI for quite some time.
Yeah, the point is that they should have reported it and left it there and downloaded it, censored it, reverse image search, etc. That's just
everything that Rosanna's been doing has had the stamp of approval behind the scenes from the FBI. So.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, like, the way it came out, it seems like the credibility is pretty shot. And I guess the other thing that I'm going to say, and you can disagree, you can disagree, of course. The other thing is that you just mentioned, like, the counterfeit T-shirts. I would say that's a useful thing for people to know, but I feel like this has been all over the place in terms of the breadth of allegations, because you kind of go from like, oh, illegal lottery to sexual assault, hiring a sex offender, and then like unsafe environment, and then you go back to like counterfeit T-shirts. It's just, like how, let's say, like if you're reporting a crime to the police.
There's a lot to be addressed.
No, I get it. But
to go over.
My point is, like if you are in a crime, right, and you're telling the police a story, and you're saying like, oh yeah, so this guy came in and he stabbed the shopkeeper, and then he stole my bike. Do you think they're gonna care about your fucking bike? Like, they'll be like, why are you even mentioning that? We need to like solve a murder. You know what I mean? Because like when you
here's the thing. They're all bad. They're all
they're all bad. I agree, and I think
when you go to court, you get convicted for all.
The proper authorities have been addressed in the proper, like all the videos that have been coming out have had the cosign of the authorities behind the scenes, and we have been working with the authorities behind the scenes the entire time. So when people come out and say, "Oh, well, they reported on this in a way that was, marginally not as successful as they could have," like, sure, I agree. We're not like the most well-trained, investigative journalists. We're just YouTubers trying to shed light on stuff. And, the proper authorities, have been aware and acknowledged and reported to and working with. So when people, come out and say, "Oh, well, I don't know," it's like we're have to make sure we're not making any missteps when the people who are getting away with crypto scams, pedophilia, fraud, anytime, we're not perfect, obviously, but
I don't want to interrupt the conversation or anything, but we do only have a few minutes left, so if anybody has comedy bits they still want to talk about, things like that,
Fair point. It's just Jake asked if anybody had comedy bits, and then nobody said anything. So, but I do apologize for the derail. And honestly, like I'm not obviously. I don't want this to come across as like I'm telling you to not say something, not to come out with something. I'm not saying that at all.
Oh no, yeah.
I was just kind of like.
I've heard a litany of these concerns every day.
I'm sure. I'm just saying, like, yeah. I haven't been like following it in too much detail, but to me, I guess as an outside observer, it just feels like that the allegations and masks are not very well structured, and that's kind of what I wanted to say.
Oh, sure. I mean, the things not being well structured, you know, that feels irrelevant compared to the actual allegations themselves, especially when, as an insider, you know, the proper authorities have been, you know, connected and acknowledged.
No, I get that, but you know, like, because if you're telling them to an outside audience, i.e. via YouTube, like, of course they're important, but like, you have to present them in a structured way so people would understand what's going on. Otherwise, the impression is like it's a bunch of bullshit.
I'm gonna say, I feel like they've been like, I've watched the videos, they feel well structured. Like the last one I saw was the one where they were going over the group chats, and like, yeah, it's the same thing. You get the information, you're gonna take it all in all the time. Anyway, I do have one more bit, actually. Thank you very much.
Go first. I was dying to know more about Rosanna supposedly getting A-OK from the FBI to release that CP allegations video, but I still was not sure whether I was going to end up doing anything with this recording. It's goofy, but it's not much of a revelation that by that point Jake Weddle was standing by his buddies, and more importantly, I was struggling to find a justification that would allow me to drop the recording without feeling like total scum. So I figured I was just going to take the next workshop and see how things go then. It was going to be my last session because I was not going to give Jake Weddle $3 more. And then disaster struck. Soggy Cereal's video was not good news for the team, and a few days after its release, Jake posted the following in the Patreon chat. Hey fellas, just want to be transparent with you all. With the Soggy video coming out, I have received a massive uptick in online harassment and threats against my life. I apologize for being MIA, as me, and now Lex, have had to deal with Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, and other various hate accounts targeting us. Pausing here for just a moment, it wasn't just Soggy's video, though, wasn't Jake. Firstly, the comment that you left on the video probably didn't help. I'm not gonna lie, you would have been better off saying nothing or posting feet. And secondly, you probably should have told your girlfriend that she didn't need to defend your honor in replies to every 5-follower shitter on x.com. I feel like by this point, you shouldn't be surprised that this ended up attracting the attention of the fairly large streamer and known trans rights activist Chad Logic, who proceeded to lampoon your girlfriend and her Honda Civic on stream, leading to Lex deleting both of her Twitter accounts and her Twitch channel.
Why the fuck would you do this? Why would you post an image like this and be so openly embarrassing and fucking pathetic? Please stop trying to peddle the Weddle. Oh my god. What?
But going back to the Patreon messages, I had a lot of videos planned and I'm still working on them. But taking care of my safety and mental health has taken it prior. Okay. Me and Lex are okay and safe, do not worry, but I just wanted to be transparent and show my appreciation for you all. I would not blame anyone for leaving this platform, as it has been dry lately. But those of you who are still here mean the world to me. Once this beast bullshit is behind me, content is coming. Not that it matters, but everything I said was factual, and they are lying about me. Heart emoji. I respond, hey Jake, thanks for giving us an update. Glad you and Lex are okay. Sorry you have had to deal with shitty people doing shitty stuff. As you know, I was critical of Dawson and Rowe, even before the Soggy video. We briefly touched on it at the end of the last workshop. But harassment and death threats are never justified. Jake Weddle says, yeah well, Dawson and Rowe have done far less awful shit. And Jimmy is being actively malicious. Dawson never purposely spread false info. Jimmy is, and encourages harassment. Those are some pretty strong statements that nobody made you make, Jake. So I replied, hey, what is the false information that is being spread? And then I added another message saying, I'm not trying to argue, I would genuinely like to know what information is incorrect. And you'll notice that I'm not showing you these two messages on screen, and that is because I did not think to screenshot them before the moderator deleted them and muted me for 24 hours. Saying this, hey yo, just a general statement for chat, we're not discussing this any further, we want to move on from any beast discussion. Moving on, and to change topics, lol, have you seen the picks for Game of the Year? Not gonna lie, I felt like I was treated unfairly. And if Jake Weddle taught me anything, is that I should not take that lying down. So I went into the other chat on the Patreon and said, seeing how I have been muted in the other channel, I would just like to point out that I was not the one to bring up the forbidden topic. Nor did I make Jake make several strong statements that I asked a non-combative follow-up question to. I'm perfectly fine with the rule of not discussing the topic further. I just want to note that I do not feel I quite earned the troublemaker treatment, to which the moderator responds, you keep continuing it. You were frankly disrespectful during the workshop as well, so that is why action was taken against you. Well, I suppose taking 2 minutes to remember a less abrasive synonym to shitstir was not worth it. So, of course, I was now muted in both Patreon chats, and the next time I thought to chat back on the Patreon, I found myself blocked, unable to see anything but the disturbing photo of an unshaven Jake Weddle, who's possibly the only man to look more like a pedophile without the mustache. And yet, there is hope that my martyrdom was not in vain, for the last screenshot that I took before I was blocked shows an unknown comrade picking up the torch of rebellion. They say, in part, when Jake, Dawson and Rowe were calling out others, discussing the Mr. Beast drama was completely fine. But now that the spotlight is on them, the topic is banned. I can't say for sure, of course, but this part makes me suspect that before my time, dragging Mr. Beast might have been a significant part of the shit-shooting portion of the comedy workshop. And with that, my investigation is concluded. Based on the evidence presented, I find Jake Weddle retarded. I understand that he is no used to being a public person and was unprepared for the negativity and the backlash. And of course, neither Jake nor his girlfriend deserve any harassment or hate, just like you don't deserve to be robbed if you go down a dark alley. However, if you keep going down the same dark alley, getting robbed every time, and you still keep returning, well, that's just a stupid thing to do. Combine that with the inability to take advantage of the spotlight, and I'm sorry to say, but Jake Weddle is not going to make it as a comedian or entertainer. Not because he's unfunny, but because he's incompetent and unfunny.